You mentioned Nip and working with Nipsey Hussle.
To be able to do his first show as a band, 1500 Nothin, to, you know, doing his last shows and his funeral. After that point, was only when I realized, like, damn, like, this was our artist. While I'm playing the chords, Damon opens the door, like, yo, what's this? I don't know. I'm just doing something. He's like, bro, this is going on Chris Brown. And then he just closed the door.
Yo, welcome to another episode of the Larry Ohh Show. Got my co-host to the left of me, as always.
What's going on, y'all? It's John Phelps.
I'm Larry Ohh. This is a music producer show. We talk about everything music production related. By the way, call this number and leave a voicemail. If there's questions, comments, anything that you want to say, leave it in the voicemail. Today we have a very special guest. Sitting with us is a West Coast legend, a Grammy-winning multi-instrumentalist, co-founder of 1500 or Nothin. He's crafted hits with Nipsey Hussle, T.I., Chris Brown, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, and so many more. Give it up for MyGuyMars. Yo, thank you so much for hopping on us.
Welcome to the pod. What's going on?
Love, man. I'm amazing. How about you?
Chilling.
Good, bro.
Blessed.
Thanks so much for hopping on with us, man. It's a long time in the works over here.
No, facts. I love what you're doing, man. And, you know, it's so synonymous, like, you know, you being able to give education and all of the things that you experience and being able to, you know, help the community, especially the production, you know, community and those that's been creative. So salute to you, man, and what you're doing. Love.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Likewise, man. Appreciate what you do. Inspiration and motivation throughout my career. Out of the tons and tons and millions of other producers as well. So thank you for that. And thank you for hopping on with us. I mentioned 1500 or Nothin. How did you guys start out? I know I've heard things here and there how you guys started. You guys started as a band at first?
Yes. 1500 or Nothin is a band term production company. You know what I'm saying? Household name, whatever y'all want to call it. But we just started in church. You know, everything was church. The whole foundation, everybody's foundation was church, you know, so we met in church. My dad was a bishop in Lancaster. You know, he would go preach different places and take me, you know, and I play the organ and stuff. And Bishop Blake is my mom's cousin. So I went to Bishop Blake's church one time at West Angeles, and pretty much all of 1500 except for me was there. And they heard me play and, you know, took a liking to, you know, my style and how I, you know what I mean? Like re-envision songs. And we all kind of like just had that love for music, love for church, and created a brotherhood from there. So we started our first time playing as a band was at First AME. We got hired to play at First AME. So that's how we were already cool, but we were able to like get tight as a band through church, you know what I'm saying? And that's how we actually got discovered. Bobby Valentino's manager seen us at that church, and then we did an audition, and we told them we charged 1500. They was asking if we want checks, do we want it to be paid out to who? They was asking too many questions, so my homeboy was like, look, bro, it's 1500 and nothing. And he said, like, what's your name? At the same time he was saying it, he was like, do y'all want checks? Do y'all want this? Like, who do we make it out to? He was like, hey, bro, 1500. He was like, what's the name of y'all band? He was like, bro, 1500 and nothing. And, you know,
everything's 1500 and nothing. Everything.
Yes. I mean, it's currently not that. It's, you know, a lot more zeros now. But,
yeah.
You know, that was the name. That was the name, hence the price that we quoted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I heard a little bit of that story before. That's an awesome story. And so you guys at that point just playing in churches, you got to like it just so happens that Bobby Valentino's manager was at that church just going to church on a normal day, or did he hear about you guys somehow and he wanted to see you guys?
I think it was a combination of both. Like he already, you know, was going to Fame, and already was at the church, but you know, because we were young, like at that church, you know, they didn't have a youth ministry at the time. So it was like the people that's always been at the church, you know what I'm saying, for the last however many years, you know what I'm saying? They playing the organ, playing the piano, it's the same thing. So, you know, for Craig to give us the opportunity, Pastor Craig at the church, to be able to play, and also that turned into us having our own like youth service and youth church. It kind of, you know, not even kind of, it really helped develop our craft and our skills and understanding how to do certain things, you know, because you got to know how to play the right music with, you know, feeling the spirit and reading the room, and you know what I'm saying, all of those things that help with production and, being on stage and everything like that. So.
And now a word from our sponsor. Engineers lets studio owners manage their business scheduling and operations with ease. Connecting your calendar on Engineers allows clients to book studio time with less back and forth. Paying out your engineers after sessions is now seamless, with payment being released 24 hours after a session. And you can simply promote your studio through ad campaigns to increase visibility in your city. Check out Engineers today. Now back to the Larry Ohh Show. What was the first transition from you guys going from doing the live band thing in church, playing together all the time, and taking that into the studio and like, when did you guys start producing per se, you know? Like, when did you guys make that transition, and how did you make that transition?
Well, I mean, actually producing, we didn't actually produce until we had the opportunity to produce artists. But as far as like making beats, I was making beats at like 14. So I already knew how to like make beats. And then by the time I met Lawrence, I had my own studio in North Hollywood when I was like 17, when I first graduated high school. I graduated high school early and moved out here to North Hollywood from Lancaster. And Lawrence would come to my studio, Jonathan Powell, like, you know, the original 1500 members, you know, Brody, all my homies would come to my studio and we would just, you know, be there. I got introduced to weed. And it opened up so many things, so many colors and chords and everything that I was hearing. So I start, you know, creating this camaraderie with my homies and just making music with them. I wasn't thinking about artists. I never thought to like produce for somebody. I never thought I would have a artist, you know what I'm saying, like Nip, or I never thought I would be, you know, have a Diamond song with Kanye or none of those things.
Crazy.
I just like really loved the gift that God gave me and wanted to, I just wanted to make music.
You just loved it and you were obsessed with it, bro. I talk about that stuff all the time. I think finding something that you're passionate about and that you're obsessed with, like that's really all you need for something to work. And you just, because you're so obsessed and so passionate about something, you just only want to do that thing. And
absolutely,
good things come out of that when you do that. And you're a good person and you surround yourself with good people that are all like-minded, want to do the same thing, obsessed with the same thing as you. Crazy things happen, like going diamond and going and platinum and getting placements. Those things are like a byproduct of just being obsessed, being good at what you do, and having a good group of people around you, know?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, people always hear the scripture, faith without works is dead. But, you know, people always emphasize the faith part, which is very important. But I think the work part is as important as the faith. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody can dream or believe that they can achieve something, but actually, you know, taking the steps to execute and, you know, be able to, you know, be in the right rooms, in the right positions, and being ready for those opportunities is the work that you have to put in while having the faith. You know what I mean?
Right, bro. Right. There's something that I saw recently too, and it was like somebody said, you know, you got to manifest this, manifest that. I manifested this and it happens. People hear that, they think, all I got to do is just start thinking and believing that I can do this. But but you have to have that. And like you said, Mars, like you got to have the work too. Like you have to have the work ethic behind it, or else it's just not going to work. You can dream all you want. You can manifest all you want.
Facts.
You could pray all you want.
Yeah.
If you don't want to show, if you can't put the work in, then it, you know.
You have to put the work in. Nobody's going to do it for you. It's just not going to happen like that. But
that's dope, man.
You mentioned Nip and working with Nipsey Hussle. Like how was that? How did you guys start working together? And I mean, how impactful was working with him in your career, in 1500 or Nothin's career?
Well, to answer your first question, I met Hussle around, had to be like 03, 04, something like that.
Wow.
Through my partner, my homeboy Rance. And we built, you know, a working relationship. It was just super cool. I didn't see all the, you know, he was a lot more turned up back then, but I didn't know it because I was just around when, you know, everybody was in the studio. So I just had a different perspective because I wasn't like, I didn't know Nip from the street shit. I knew he was in the, you know, I knew he was in the street and everything he come from, you know, where he come from. But when I met him and all the interactions in the studio, everything was just music. Everything was intentional. Everything was genius. Everything was, you know what I'm saying? It just flowed, and we were able to learn from each other, as well as him being able to see like the quality that we were making music at and the type of artists we were working with, and being Grammy nominated and winning Grammys and, you know, things like that. And he was like, man, okay, look, y'all know me the best. Y'all are my sound. You know what I'm saying? He met Mike and Keys after through us in Phonics. And yeah, and everything from there was just like a natural, organic working relationship. So we, you know, to be able to do his first show as a band, 1500 Nothing, at House of Blues in like '07 or '08 or something like that, to, you know, doing his last shows and his funeral, you know, is, you know, after that point
Yeah.
was only when I realized, like, damn, like, this was our artist. Because I'm looking at interviews like, yeah, my producers, and I'm like, damn, like, we were so involved in the music and so organic with our brotherhood and our, you know, our music relationship, as well as our, you know, relationship as just homies, friends, therapists, you know, brothers, prayer warriors, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of those things, you know, we praying together, we eating together, we playing basketball together, we making music together. So, you know, you don't really see, you know, I didn't really see him as our artist at that time. I just was like, you know, this is somebody I really, we believed in, and we knew his sound, and we just wanted to keep, you know, evolving the sound and evolving, you know, his message through the music. Yeah. So
He was just like another bandmate at that point, pretty much, right? He's just like another one of you guys. Like, you guys created every day, hung out every day,
facts.
did everything together. I mean, that's just like, that's a recipe for just a great friendship, great relationships, and great music. If you know, because everybody's a musician and doing music, so that's a recipe for greatness. And you mentioned that
Absolutely.
you guys performed as like with him for his band up until like the very end. Talk about a little bit of that. Like, how was that? You guys did all the live shows with him?
We, as in 1500 and Nothing, my band, we did Hustle's first show at the House of Blues. I think it was like 2007 or 2008, something like that. It definitely wasn't. It was before 2010, or might have been 2010. I don't know, around that era. But yeah, once he started performing, like, for real, we was, you know, doing shows, doing rehearsals, doing everything, making sure, you know, he understood how his music should sound, and like, the things that we were doing for other artists, like how I was musical direct for T.I., how I was musical direct for Future, how I was musical direct for Lil Yachty, the Migos, all these different people. Not at that time, but the people that I was working with at that time. Whatever information I had or anything I accumulated, I implemented with Hustle. And I think, you know, from that, and Loran's doing the same thing. That allow Hustle to see how his music should be, how his production should go, how his songs, you know, in addition to what his vision, you know what I'm saying, and how to execute it properly. So after that point, we were able to put people in position, you know, and, you know, have bands, you know, because we still got to produce and change the world through music. And he was already at his point where he was doing the same thing. And, you know, going on tour. So
Yeah,
we didn't do like the tour, you know, like Victory Lap, you know, those things. We already did the music.
gotcha.
But yeah, like the important shows we definitely did, like all
That's
of them,
dope,
you
man.
know, not saying that none of them weren't important, but, you know, like the more significant shows, I should say, you know what I'm saying, we did with Hustle. Album release, the title release, the Victory Lap release, you know what I'm saying? Because those are the songs we actually created the music for. So to be able to create the music, create the songs, and perform the songs that we created live was just something that, you know, I felt like Hustle wanted us to feel just like he wanted to feel with the people that he created the music with.
Right.
Yeah, that Victory Lap album was special, man. I mean, all that production is just crystal clear, and it just elevated everything that he was coming out with at that time. And like, just going back from some of the sessions that there was a camera involved, it's like the spirits in the room, man. It's good to see that kind of stuff, like people connecting like that. So it's an honor to speak with you because I'm a Hustle fan like forever, and I remember hearing "Change Nothing" for the first time and being like 1,500 and Nothin's doing this. This is crazy. Like, so salute, yeah, salute,
Well,
man.
man. Thank you. I'm grateful, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's awesome. Just to hear about that and to touch on that too. Backtrack a little bit. You mentioned like the musical like live director. So doing that side of stuff is not talked about that much. There's something that goes into that, I think, that not a lot of people talk about. And you mentioned kind of helping Nipsey along the way of like building a show and building a stage presence too, and just that whole aspect of everything. Do you feel like that, like having that knowledge and moving forward, do you think that evolved your guys' sound as well as his, maybe in his recorded music? Because now he's maybe thinking, oh, this could be, you know, when I go into the studio, now I'm thinking of what we got going on stage right now, and I'm gonna do this. I want to have a horn section. You know what I mean? Does that help somebody mold their sound or evolve their sound in a way?
Absolutely. There's one thing that I seen when I was musical directing and playing with B.O.B. I went to work with him, and I went to his studio in his house, and he has a sign. I took this from him, actually. He has a sign on his door before you walk out the door, when you walk in, that says, "Remember, you may have to perform these songs."
Yay.
And the genius thing about that is, like, when you're creating for people, you're not going to just get in the studio and just try to and doing all of this stuff, trying to say, things that people can't not only hear, but you can't even perform it. You about to be passing out on stage trying to perform all this work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you have the formula or the formulaic way of being able to create for people and being able to, have a concise way of, articulating what you want to say, and, it still being clever, and the music being a marriage to that message. I think it's so beneficial, and I've been so grateful and honored to be able to travel the world however many times, 3-4 different passports with all of the greatest artists, to be able to do it, the highest quality artists, and being able to take something from each person to see how to implement that in my brand, in our brand, 1500 and Nothin, my personal brand, and how to, take that knowledge and use that for the artists that I'm working with. You know what I mean? So it's just a certain level that God has allowed me to be around for 20 years, literally 20 years this year. And, I'm just grateful. And yes, to answer your question and emphasize the answer, like, when you travel and see how people react to certain songs, it gives you the fuel to be able to see, okay, people like this, or people love this song, or people didn't react to this song as much, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's certain things, or they love this tempo, or, like, everywhere we go, this song is received well, or everywhere we go, like, people love, upbeat type of, songs that we do. You know what I mean? So it's just being able to, like, take different things that you experience from human interaction and human experience, and implement that in the music.
I think you have you have the best of both worlds, in my opinion, for a producer musician in general. I think you and 1500 Nothin in general, I think, has the best of both worlds, in the sense of you being able to go out there, perform live, seeing what it's like, seeing how audiences react to the music, as well as being in the studio with the artist. There's not a lot of people. There's a very, very small percentage of producers and musicians in general that get to experience that.
Absolutely.
You guys get to experience that. I think that's very, like, super rare.
Absolutely.
And you have the best of both worlds, bro. To be honest, I don't even know if it's a question. It's just a statement. I think you guys really got the best of both worlds. Like, that's fire to me.
No,
crazy.
I'm super grateful, and I think, like, just to expound on that a little bit, for me, it was more. I came to, like, a point in my musicianship where I was like, okay, do you want to be the Duke Ellington of, you know, do you want to be the greatest piano player ever? Or do you want to be someone that, you know, can change lives and be the best person, you know, to do it the best way you know how to do it, you know what I'm saying, through music. And I got to a point where I felt like as long as I can play what I feel, you know what I'm saying, of course I still try to learn things and, uh, you know, try not to be as, you know, dusty and rusty, you know what I'm saying? You know, I got all the keyboards in here in my studio, so I'm playing every day, but it's just like a certain level of knowing what you want, right? So
Right.
I think like the theory and being in church and just knowing harmony and being able to, you know, dissect things and knowing how, you know, to use that in the music, that's really helpful when I'm producing vocals. Like I'm doing vocal production, I'm doing musical directing, I'm doing, you know, making the beats. I'm the musician while I'm making the beats. I'm playing on the, I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's like 5 different people that you would have to hire to do something that I'm doing
Right.
myself or something that 1500 would do. That's, you know what I'm saying? Just by
Hopefully you're getting
ourselves, you know
5
what I mean?
times the
So I'm
check too.
super. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, that's what should happen. It normally happens a lot of times, but you know, you have friends and people
Yeah,
that,
I
you
mean,
know.
because sometimes like we, you know, producers and engineers and artists and pretty much everybody besides the labels gets taken advantage of, right? So, but I mean, when they see a guy like you or a group like you guys coming along where you're kind of doing everything, have you run into it where, you know, the higher ups at the labels or management or whoever is trying to like really take advantage because they know you guys can pretty much do everything and maybe they're getting a better deal because, hey, we got like a one-stop shop.
Absolutely. I mean, but you know, we're older now, so you know,
You know,
it's
yeah, you know what to look
yeah,
for.
it's not like, you know, it's a different perspective. Now I only want to work with the people I want to work with, opposed to, you know, maybe 20 years, 15 years ago. I'm trying to work with as many people as I can work with, you know what I mean? Because I just love
Right.
doing music and I just want to work with artists. But now it's just a certain level of artists I want to work with. And I want to work with artists that's passionate about what they're trying to do. I don't want to be more passionate about something than the artist is. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's
Right.
why I love working with independent artists. And that's why I'm always giving people opportunities, um, you know, on my Instagram, on my live, you know, because it's just like, some people just don't have the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to
Right.
get to LA. They don't know how to be in the right rooms. But it doesn't mean they're not doing the work. You know what I'm saying? It's just so many people that are blessed to be a blessing that are only blessed. You know what I'm saying? They don't,
Yeah.
they
And they don't
hoard the
have the
blessing.
platform.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know, opposed to talking about people that hoard the blessing, you know, I'm blessed to be a blessing. So I think like the more people see that, then it'll be more cool to be able to do the same thing. It'll be more of a trend to just be, you know, human and empathetic and want to help people. And, you know, that's why my slogan is just better together because, you know, you don't know, you can't win by yourself. It takes a team. You know what I'm saying?
That's a gem right
That's a
there.
big gem
To
right
be a
there.
blessing is a blessing. Yes, sir.
Just passing the torch to somebody at some point when you see that it's due and it's necessary, man. I mean, just giving somebody a voice, giving somebody a platform. That's what it's all about, you know,
Absolutely.
because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
I recently saw this post that you put up on IG, and I wanted to dive into maybe the story a little bit, and then we can get to that one gotta go segment. But
Okay.
this one really caught my eye. It was I think a couple of days ago. You posted 17 years ago today. It was a screenshot. It was "Take You Down" by Chris Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Can you dive into that story a little bit and like why is that so significant to you? It's you say thank you Damon and Harvey. Can you dive into a little bit of that? Like what's the backstory on that?
Absolutely. So Damon and Harvey are, you know, the presidents, the CEO, and the main 2 producers of the Underdogs. You know what I'm saying? It's like me and Lawrence with 1500 or nothing. And they basically took a liking to us and, you know, our music. You know, we were kids. And Damon just let me use his room. He had a studio with the biggest speakers in there. You know, outside of the A room, he had like a side. It was basically like a B room, and he would let me just go work in there. So this one day, I couldn't smoke in the studio, so I went downstairs and smoked. And while I'm smoking, I had like the drums in my head, like I'm just hearing the beat. I just keep hearing the beat. So I got done smoking and came upstairs. And yes, I was in Logic at the time, so because that's all they were using at the Underdog Studio. So I'm in there.
You had to learn it.
Yes, this is actually my first beat that I did, like a real production. Like this is me learning Logic, you know. So
Wow, bro.
yeah, so I, do the drum beat, start playing the chords, and while I'm playing the chords, Damon opens the door like, "Yo, what's this?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just doing something." He's like, "Bro, this is going on Chris Brown," and then he just closed the door, and I'm like, back then I didn't believe nothing, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, like whatever. So finished the beat. To the point where like I didn't even know how to use Logic to where that like breakdown part that just the chorus just drag out. I didn't know how to fix it, so I just copied all the music until the chorus just died down, and I just copied the music after that. So, like Mistakes and All, they wrote the song. Excuse me. Damon came and finished it. Excuse me. Finished the idea. And he they produced the bridge. He played like the bass line all the way down, the guitar. Just made it a movie, you know what I'm saying? They made it a song.
Wow.
And then my lawyer called me like maybe like 2 weeks later, like, "Hey, do you have a single on Chris Brown?" And I'm like, I don't know, do I? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause I'm thinking like Damon told me like this is going on Chris Brown, but I'm like,
Wow.
And then by that time I heard the record and I was just like, this is crazy. And that was my first, hit. Like that was my first single. That was my first, hit I was able to be a part of.
Wow.
And yeah, that was 17
That's
years
insane,
ago,
bro.
like 3 days ago. So that's why, just
Yeah.
said, shout out to Damon and Harvey. People don't give flowers, you know what I'm saying, while we here, you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I love
That's
just
why that post
acknowledging
stuck out
things
to me.
motivate people
Yeah.
and inspire people, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. That's why that post really stuck out to me, because it's like you just I don't know, it just seemed just like a real moment and a moment that you hold on to, that you think about often, to bring that back up and to thank people, give them the flowers. Like, if it wasn't for so and so, a lot of this other stuff might not have happened, or just giving flowers when they're due, man. It's just, people need that. We all need that. Like,
Yeah,
we all
man.
need a pat on the back, we all need that
We
stuff.
better together, my guy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Better together.
So, to go back a little bit on something that you mentioned just in that last part about using Logic.
Mhm.
So you had to learn Logic. First of all, if that was me and somebody came in the room and heard me using a DAW for the first time, and I'm working on something, he's like, "That's going on Chris Brown's thing," I would have messed the whole beat up, and it would have probably never came out. I would have been like all in my head. I would have been like, "Yo, I gotta do this, and this is gonna go on Chris Brown." You have a level head going into that, thinking, "Oh, all right, whatever. It ain't gonna. If it happens, it happens. Not, it doesn't." And then you just keep cooking. I feel like a lot of producers may have gotten in their head and may have not gotten that opportunity because of that. But I think you just having like a good mentality going into that is a big thing to touch on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my first thought was like, it's cap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't believe it because I kind of trained myself. Like, well, I found out early once I was like really excited about just, having songs with people and working with people. I'm like, oh, this song is about to come out and da da da. Oh, I had a song on Tweet with Missy Elliott, and Missy is like one of my all-time favorite producers, and like the song never came out. So once I was introduced to, oh, this can happen, like we could just do something and it just not come out. Like, this is crazy.
It just never comes out. We spent all this time on it.
That's when I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have a nonchalant approach and just do the music. I'm not gonna even really be excited about, it's like trying to play.
But you
before
learned
you
that
do-
early on.
Yeah, so it's
you
like
learned that early
exactly. So I didn't want to try to
Yeah.
play before doing the work. You know what I'm saying? You're excited about
on. Yeah.
recess, but you don't want to go to school. So it's like, all right, I'm about to do the work, and then if it come out, then we can, you know what I'm saying. But I got to the point where I just stopped even celebrating and acknowledging things. That's why I'm doing things that I'm doing now. It's like to acknowledge what God has done, and me being grateful for these opportunities. But it's so many songs and like so much history, like looking up. And Snoop was somebody that like really allowed me to realize that, because he put it in perspective. He's just telling me like, man, I could call any producer I want, but I call you purposely because I see what you're doing, and you're always doing something. You always giving back. You always helping. You always producing. Anytime I call you deliver. So it's like I'd rather give you the opportunity, but at the same time, you got to understand like what you're doing. You got to basically like you got to smell the flowers while you're here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool. It's cool to look up and see like what God has done, and that be like, man, okay, I did that. Have that next battery pack, for you to be able to do in the next 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Snoop for allowing me to have that perspective,
big
to
time.
not just downplay everything and be so not negative, but just kind of like nonchalant about everything, because you're still doing the music and it still comes from God. You're still a vessel, you're still a resource, you know what I'm saying? So if you have something from the source, we should be honored and grateful every day to be able to be a resource and keep resourcing, what the source has given us. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's great advice.
Yeah.
That's such great advice.
Greatest advice.
Yeah, I mean that's huge, because you hear it from so many people too, successful people that say, I don't even think about what, I just, I got a Grammy, who cares? I'm moving on to the next thing. But sometimes it's good to slow down and be like, yeah, I did that, and I'm going to be grateful for what I just did, and grateful for the people that may have helped me along the way, and grateful for all the opportunities that I've gotten, and just to stop and smell the flowers for a second, because I think we're all guilty of that in our own way.
Absolutely.
Of just like not stopping, and time flies so fast, and you look back and you're like, damn, 15 years just like flew by. I should have appreciated like a little bit more of that,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we can let's segue into last segment, and then we can wrap it up, because I know we're getting a little bit later here. Let's do One Gotta Go. Maybe like a few rounds of this, just very simple stuff. So this is producer edition, One Gotta Go.
Okay.
Just name one of these. I'm going to give you 4 options, and then one of them you got to get rid of. So sample packs, hardware synths, drum machines, or MIDI controllers. One gotta go.
Hardware synths definitely has to stay.
Okay. I had a feeling. I had a feeling that was staying.
Yeah, that's staying forever. MIDI controllers are, necessary because they're a form of hardware. You may run your synth through your DAW. I'm going sample packs.
Sample packs gotta go? All right.
Sample
I
packs
had a feeling that was going to be the choice. Sample packs gotta go.
Because, I mean,
all right.
I'm a musician. I could just make the music.
You the sample.
Exactly.
We make our own samples
Exactly.
anyway. We make our own
You
samples.
are the sample
so,
pack.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, round
man.
2, production styles. So this one will be production styles. Live instrumentation, sampling, vocal chops, or programming drums and 808s. One gotta go.
Vocal chops.
Vocal chops gotta go.
Yep.
All right. And then genres. This will be interesting, because I know you're a multi-genre producer. We didn't get to touch on that much, but I love how versatile your sound is, and just the group's sound is. That you can go from the harder hip hop stuff to the R&B stuff.
Absolutely.
You guys are just super versatile.
And country.
And gospel and country. I mean, you guys touch on everything.
Love. Thank you. I'm grateful, man. Give it to me what we got. Give me the titles, man.
All right, so 4 genres, one gotta go. Hip hop, R&B, pop, or reggae.
Hmm. Well, that's kind of easy actually, because I'm gonna say pop. Pop got to go
Okay.
because pop is popular music. So any of the other three genres we can make popular.
You could make pop. See, that's an argument that I've had too. And I totally agree with you. Pop, I don't think I should just scratch this whole question. It was a trick question. Cause like
So I said
pop,
it's kind of
One of these questions got to go.
yeah, one of these questions gotta go. That's the one that's going. But yo, anything can be pop. I've had this discussion in the past. I don't know how, like, probably got into so many arguments and debates about it. But anything can be pop.
Yeah, pop is popular.
Yeah. So you can make a hip hop song or a trap song or an R&B song or a reggae song. It can be pop. If it goes on a pop radio station, it's pop.
Facts.
So, all right. How about one more? And this will be studio related.
Okay.
So like in studio session related. One gotta go. Solo producer, so just being in there by yourself. A collaborative session, working with artists, or just like an overall producer only session. One gotta go.
What do you mean producer only session? Like only producers in there?
Yeah, just like only like you and just producers. That's it. No artists, no writers, just producers, beat makers.
And what's the first one?
Solo, just by yourself. You.
I'm gonna say the last one.
So producer only session?
Yeah.
One. Okay.
How
How do you feel about collaborative sessions with maybe all right, so maybe do like a versus, I guess. A session with you and other producers versus like you and artists. Which one do you prefer? Do you like being in the room with artists?
Absolutely.
Or yeah?
I'd rather get the songs done than me just make a million beats. I already have a million beats. I don't need 2 million. I need these million to truncate to 500,000, and we get 500,000 songs, and then truncate more to 250. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I need more songs, and I need to get more music out to more artists because it's billions of people in the world.
Right, bro.
So,
and do you feel like this may be hard to answer, but do you feel like the music that you've made with artists in the studio, like Nipsey Hussle, or people that you've spent a large amount of time within the studio, do you feel like the music comes out better that way versus, or you just like sending out beats to people? Because I'm sure you've had hits and great songs come out both ways. So,
well, I mean, yes, but more. I probably have like a 20% or 15% of the music that I've placed or has came out has been like something that I send. I don't really like sending music. The only way I'll send music is if it's an artist that I want to work with that's international. Like it's an artist by the name of Aradna, or like if it's an artist like Leela James, I'm working with her. People that's not here that I admire their music, or I'm a fan of their music, or I want to work with them. Like people like that, I'll probably send something like a couple vibes, but for the most part, I try to get everybody here to the spaceship, or try to figure out how we can get in the same room, because that's how I've made the best music.
I feel you.
Yeah,
I feel you. I don't think there's anything that's like really gonna replace that ever.
Yeah, man.
You talk about all this.
Yeah, it's human interaction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can be able to actually produce the artist as well as the song, opposed to allowing the artist to just try to come up with a hit.
I feel the same way. The stuff that I've done in the studio with artists, like with John and a bunch of other really good friends that I've made music with over the years, I feel like the best music I've ever made was in person, being in the studio with people and having those vibes and the relationships. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess with that being said, I mean, we can wrap it up. I really appreciate you having you on here, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Love, man. I appreciate you, man. For real. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Of course, man. Anytime. And you need anything, or if you want if you have anything going on or anything dropping that you want to plug in here, and I can drop in the description as well.
Sure, man. We making fire music every day, and I'm dropping a song every Monday. MyGuyMars Mondays. I've been doing it for a month. I don't know when I'm gonna stop, so I'm doing that. And in addition to that, I'm open to working with independent artists. You know what I'm saying? You can just reach me on my Instagram, MyGuyMars. Shoot me a DM, MyGuyMars.com. And I also have a couple books that I've written on music theory, on no such thing as writer's block, no such thing as beat block. And those are on my website as well, MyGuyMars.com. So.
Oh, bro, I'm going to drop those in the description as well and check those out for myself. I didn't even know about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's only for my people, man. You know what I'm saying? You're my guy. I got you.
I'm going to have to check that out, man.
That's sick.
Well, I mean, again, thank you for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please at home, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And as always, share this with a friend if you get me.